today, we could see more scenes just like this one popping up into portions of Colorado. It extends into Nebraska and Kansas, damaging winds, also some hail. Those will be the biggest threats. And closer to Colorado, there is an isolated chance, very slim, but it's there, to see some rotation with some of those storms out there today. Ben, you can really make out the energy. Here's the bowling ball that we've been watching consistently. We've got plenty of energy here. We've got right here. We've got the nice front. We've got plenty of energy being sprung all the way up into the north. We've got plenty of moisture in the place. We've got the elevation from the Rockies. And I'll tell you what, this is the perfect setup for the storm to cause some of these severe storms over this chunk of the country right here.
Yeah, it's something we're going to have to watch pretty carefully here. I mean, this system and this front that's moving through and this dip in the jet stream is really just kind of activating everything. We can kind of get a little bit of, well, everything coming out of this. I mean, we got some wind gusts that are going to be pretty damaging. I mean, we saw what happened over into California just a couple days ago, and that was the beginning of all of this. And even looking at our live radar currently, there are a few thunder showers, thunderstorms popping up, a little bit of lightning as well, all the way from Denver and down further south, and that is the exact spot where we could see some potentially severe weather.
Yeah, I think so. The front's moving through. A lot of the energy is just off to the west right now, but through the afternoon, a little daytime heating, it's all going to pick up. We've also got just enough moisture. Now, it's not real high, the dew points. We're into the 50s, Omaha at 61. It's just enough, though, and there's more in the way of heat, and that heat will add to, let's call it buoyancy, right? The rise in some of the atmospheric moisture that's in place that will help some of these storms pick up. You'll notice most of the storm energy is over portions of northern New Mexico into southern Colorado, especially along the Raton Pass, Interstate 5, and snow in the highest elevations. That cold air producing the snow in the higher elevations is also cold air in some of our storms aloft here, which gives us the chance for some hail, large hail at that. And notice that does include not only the Rockies, but just off the continental divide, off the eastern plains of Colorado.
Exactly. And, you know, you kind of mentioned the snow portion of this because there are some higher elevations that are already going to start getting a little bit more of that snowpack, which, you know, for some skiers, maybe they're excited about this.
Heck yeah,
exactly. And, you know, to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so early, but it really isn't for these folks. I mean, they usually start to see a little bit of more of that snow coming on in by the time we get into mid-October. So this is right around when it normally happens. But to your point too, Craig, we're going to see this starting off nice and early this morning, and those showers are going to be somewhat on the heavier side at times.
Yeah, especially to the north.
Especially people need to be especially careful, especially throughout that morning commute, especially in those areas. I mean, around 8 a.m. people are trying to get to work.
It's a bummer.
So you want to be careful on those roads, especially.
Notice the flow coming in from the south there. That's going to give us the moisture that's coming through. You throw in that nice little cold front there, and that cold front's going to bump into some of that. That'll spark some of those storms this afternoon. You can see that right there. Look at that. Intense by 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You talked about the morning commute. Let's not forget the evening commute as well, right, Bain? So, Bain, when we go through 9 p.m. this afternoon, the energy starts to move over to the plains, and then we continue with this threat through the day tomorrow, my friend. Let's talk travel. Because what's today? Thursday, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry to think about this. So here today, airports could be affected by this. Bain, look at these major airports through the day Saturday. The storm continues into Sunday, and we'll see this expand into portions of the East Coast. We'll break this all down all morning long.
Yeah, you know, Craig, and this is just the beginning of this system because it's going to continue to move, and those storms are actually expected to strengthen as they start to shift a little bit more towards the east during the rest of the week and into our weekend. So tomorrow into Saturday, it's going to be warm, humid. Air will surge to the north.
I call it hot in some cases.
Right?
There was a couple 90s in the forecast.
I know. So we have a lot of storm energy available for these systems, and we'll be watching for this front that's going to move through again tomorrow and into Saturday. Really got to watch out. I mean, we do have a level 2 out of 5 for parts of, the entire state of Arkansas, honestly. And this is going to be impacting portions of the southern parts of the United States for not only today, into Friday, as well as into Saturday as that front moves on in. So it's
that level 2's been there since yesterday, Bain. And I'll tell you what, when Storm Prediction Center puts that out this early, confidence is high. It could be elevated. That would probably happen either late Friday or Saturday morning. And you pay attention because all of the ingredients, which we're going to show you right now, are coming together for the setup where that could be elevated come Saturday.
Exactly. And you know, this dip in the jet stream, that's what we were kind of talking about earlier with this overall setup. That's going to start to push more towards the east. And what we usually see with the dip is we normally have more of the action on the eastern portions of it. It gives it a little bit more of that lift, Craig. And that's where we could could see some more of that instability kind of occurring. And on top of this, too, I mean, we have all the ingredients. So very strong dip in the jet is going to be kind of that catapult that's going to start getting things rocking and rolling. Of course, this front comes in, but like you mentioned, I mean, temperatures in the 80s, upper 80s. This is warm for this time of year.
Yeah.
And the dew points, I mean,
70s. I mean,
70s.
60s is pretty significant to get some of these storms, but you're talking 70s dew point, plenty of moisture to wring out tons of water and some severe storms. Also, when you think about it, we don't have as much daylight during the daytime hours, but that dip in the jet, to your point, adds to the chance for these storms to pick up when the sun goes down.
Yes.
Because the energy's still there, even though the sun's gone down. The energy from the jet helps those storms.
Exactly. And also I want to mention, too, we do have that shear, which is something that we look for when there is that potential for tornadoes. So there is a little bit of that spin going on in the atmosphere, or at least it's forecasted to have that. So, I mean, it is not a non-zero chance of seeing some of these storms spinning up into and giving us an isolated tornado or two trying to pop up throughout these areas. So we have a lot of the storm energy going on. This will be Saturday as well as into Sunday potentially, as this system kind of starts to shift more towards the southeast. And so areas more near Alabama may start to get in on the action. But I do think Saturday is going to be the day we got to watch out for. And like I mentioned here, Craig, we do have that tornado potential that's going to be rocking and rolling. And I think a lot of folks kind of let their guard down during the fall because you kind of think, oh, it's getting cooler. But this is kind of our second round of severe weather because the temperatures are so drastic in their changes because we're kind of going through the change in the
different air masses swinging through, right? And it's no surprise because these are the locations where we do have, historically speaking, tornadoes in the month of October. So that'll take us into Saturday and then into Sunday, maybe still seeing some through the overnight hours into early Sunday morning. Plenty of rain with those, especially for portions of the Ohio Valley. We'll watch this closely.